All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga and to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam starts with an invocation verse with 5 conclusions: the Brahman, Narayan, Krishna, Radha and Krishna's meeting and separation in Madhurya Ras, and Bhakti being the Satyam Paramadhimahi. The rest of chapter 1 are questions by the sages at Naimisharanya. The second chapter is answer to some of the sages' questions by Suta Goswami, in which stages of bhakti are explained. The third chapter is about Krishna's avatars. The fourth chapter is the appearance of Narad to Vyas. The fifth chapter is a conversation between Vyas and Narad. The sixth chapter is about Narad reaching perfection in Prem. The seventh chapter is the punishment of Ashwatthama. This is the eighth chapter. In the eighth chapter, 3 principal topics are covered. First is Kunti's prayers. Second is Parikshit being saved, and third is Yudhishthir's grief. Let us start with the backdrop of Parikshit's rescue. What was the scene like? The war was still fresh in memories, and the sons of Draupadi had departed due to Ashwatthama's heinous act, as we saw in the previous chapter. There had been a lot of death, and prayers had to be performed. Last rites for the departed souls had to be done in a dharmic way. So the Pandavas, along with Krishna, putting the woman in front, went to the Ganga to give water to the souls' progress in their journey. Along with mantras, even though hearts were heavy, the right thing had to be done. The water was purified by the dust from the lotus feet of the Lord, so everyone took a bath in the water, having given the departed souls their proper closure. The Pandavas were grief-stricken, and Krishna offered them consolation along with the sages. Yudhishthir and his brothers Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Kunti and Draupadi all needed support of Krishna in the most trying time of their lives. Suta Goswami says that everything happened by Krishna's desire. Krishna had Yudhishthir established in his rightful kingdom, stolen by cheaters. Krishna had the unrighteous kings' lives shortened because they grabbed Draupadi's hair. Draupadi had a special position, being a Sakhi of Krishna. Later, Krishna has Yudhishthir conduct horse sacrifices 3 times. Suta Goswami mentions this in the chapter out of context, just to glorify him. Suta continues speaking to Sonaka Rishi. Having spoken to the Pandavas, having worshipped the sages such as Vyas and have been worshipped by them, Krishna, desiring to go to Dwarka, while seated on his chariot with Satyaki and Uddhava, saw Uttara. Uttara was shaking with fear as though she had seen the face of untimely death. Verse 9 and 10 are Uttara's desperate pleas to Krishna. She begs for fearlessness, not for her life but for her child in her womb. A burning iron arrow was pursuing her. It was Ashwatthama's Brahmastra. Also heading towards the Pandavas were 5 burning arrows that wanted to rid the world of the Pandavas. The Brahmastra cannot be counteracted by any weapon except another Brahmastra. This would have been difficult to counteract by the Pandavas because it would have taken time to release 5 Brahmastras. Therefore, Krishna, seeing the danger, broke his vow of not taking up weapons. He did this for the love of his devotees. As the Paramatma, Krishna was situated in Uttara already, but by the Shakti of Yogamaya, he entered as Krishna and protected the embryo as a 4-armed form with his club. Now comes the second topic in the chapter in the form of Kunti's prayers to Krishna. After Parikshit was saved, the devotee Kunti, who had recently witnessed all that Krishna had done, was overcome by great respect that arose in her heart. She was in a mood of awe and reverence, even though she could see various aspects of Krishna's glory. Her words express her deep desire to understand Krishna more. On one hand, she could not stop praising him, saying, "You are the Supreme Lord, superior to Prakriti, beyond sense knowledge, the soul within us." And on the other, she narrated pastimes of Krishna and Braj. Krishna is so powerful that his part of a part, Lord Narayan, manifests himself as Karandakshay Vishnu, who breathes in and out all the universes. Still, because of Mother Yashoda's prem, she was able to tie him up and make him weep. He was weeping in fear. The personality from whom fear personified is also fearful was in fear of his mother. Kunti had heard of pastimes like these and was relating them to Krishna to attract him. There is only so much that she could do in her understanding the depths of Krishna's pastimes. Still, Krishna was pleased by his devotees' glorification, and he allowed her to continue to pour her heart out. Kunti herself admitted that she does not know Krishna because of being covered by Maya. This could mean two things. She was speaking out of humility, or she wanted to place her case forward as the desirer to enter Krishna's heart. This could further be understood by verse 20, in which she says, "How can we women hope to see you, the object of bhakti for the omniscient liberated sages?" She offers repeated respects to Krishna and relates his heroic pastimes of saving the devotees, the Pandavas, Draupadi, and others, and at the same time of Bhishma and others righteous persons' destruction. This all bewilders her. She addresses Krishna as the son of Vasudev, Devaki Nandan, even though he is unborn. Then she offers respects to his beautiful form that gives happiness to her eyes and appreciates his 6 qualities. Kunti then relates the greatness of Krishna's rescue of Devaki from Kamsa, and then wants to know why Krishna chose to protect Kunti and her sons, even though Devaki's other children were not, even though Devaki had prayed for Krishna. In verse 24, she talks about the variety of dangers like the giving of poison to Bhima, burning of the house of Lak, Hidimba, and gambling match. In verse 25, she says that these dangers are a blessing to her, teaching us that it is in adverse situations that the jivas hold on to Krishna's and to Gurudev's lotus feet the tightest. Verse 37 talks about her dependency on Krishna, which further highlights her mood of awe and reverence, versus the sweet Madhurya Ras, where Krishna himself depends on his devotees. And his principal devotees are Srimati Radharani and the gopis, who don't want anything from Krishna for themselves. Kunti Devi then tells Krishna that they, the Pandavas and the Yadus, and their fame and strength are nothing without Krishna, like the senses are without the jiva, without any significance. Then she prays for Krishna to cut her strong bond of affection for her relatives and for her mind to hold rati for Krishna without any obstacle. Here again we see the comparison in the gopis' love for Krishna versus Kunti's. The gopis do not care for family, husband, children, but see only Krishna. To this Krishna replies, "Then do you want realization of Brahman? Because if you cut your affection for Yadavs, you will also cut your affection for me." Kunti replies, "Let my mind have attraction for no one except you and your devotees." This feels like she is progressing on her journey as a devotee, and it projects a stage of bhakti where the sadhak relies on the association of Vaishnavas' mercy to carry him forward. Sutta says the Lord smiled, being bewildered by prem of his devotee. Krishna accepted her prayers and returned to Hastinapur. He then took permission to leave from Kunti and the other woman, and as he was about to go to Dwarka, Yudhishthir begged that he stay a little longer. Krishna in verse 46 then conveys his wish of Bhishma instructing Yudhishthir as his death was approaching. This is something that we will see in the next chapter in more detail. The conclusion of this chapter is the opening of Yudhishthir's heart like an open wound, taking responsibility in the form of lamentation for 640 million people's lives. Yudhishthir realizes that 5 sacrifices would not be sufficient to counter the effect of war. At the end, we must realize that not a leaf moves without Krishna's desire. Vancha kalpatrupyascha kripa sindhupaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.